Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Talent Matters podcast, another episode of Smiles, Dials and Piles. Piles of what, I hear you say? Hopefully piles of great information, but I'll let you guys decide on that. So today we are talking about marketing. Marketing is within recruitment agencies, divides opinion a little bit. Some see it as a very an essential tool of growing the business and running the business. Others see it as a bit of a waste of time, and really people should be on the phones speaking to clients, doing deals and getting stuff done. So we're going to talk through that today and try and get to the bottom of this and give you piles of great information and stuff that you can take away. If not, we can just take 20 minutes of your time or 30 minutes of your time away from your day-to-day grind. Today, I am joined by industry expert, all-round nice guy and co-founder of Paiger, Rohit Kapoor. Welcome.
Hi.
Rohit. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing? I mean, it's wet. It's been raining. It's been pouring down with rain. You're soaking. You came.
That's England.
Yeah, this is exactly it. Exactly it. The days of the heat and everyone rushing for aircon units are over for another few months. So, but we will survive. We will get through it all. So, Rohit, I'm sure everybody listening will knows exactly who and what Paiger is and does. But for the two or three people that don't, what is it?
So Paiger is a marketing platform specifically designed for the recruitment industry. And ultimately, the goal is to increase your brand perspective from a company and from a personal recruiter's perspective. So from a branding awareness, but ultimately drive people back to your website and back to your ecosystem. And that's what Paiger can do and bring in automation within your business. I think we spoke before about people not having time to do all these smaller things, and I guess that's where Paiger comes in from an automations perspective, because people don't have time.
Yeah, fantastic. How long? It's not been going that long, but it's no startup anymore, is it?
It's not. It's not a small little start. We started it 4.5 years ago. We've now got 26 people in the business. We've got an office in Scotland, and the headquarters is here in London, in Loughton. A few dotted from home as per usual, which is fine. So yeah, it's growing quite rapidly.
Fantastic. So let's get stuck into it then. Marketing, waste of time or essential toolkit? I know what you're going to say. I've lined that up for you, haven't I?
Well, I do know what.
Let's get into it.
It's interesting because marketing's been around for such a long time, even before social media. And marketing used to be, for recruiters, the way that you would market your job adverts. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, right?
You're right.
Would you agree with that, right? So marketing's been there for such a long time, but from a job adverts perspective, now in the year 2022, there is a pool of candidates sitting there waiting to be interacted, whether they're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It really does depend on your demographic. And I spoke to someone literally 2 days ago. If your demographics and your candidates and clients sit on LinkedIn and Twitter, focus on those channels. If they're sitting on Facebook and Instagram every day, focus on those channels. There's no point shooting in all directions because you think we should just do it. Aim at the right target market, whether they're clients or candidates. So
Go carry on.
Go for it. Well, no, I was going to say, I mentioned this before in my intro. People don't have time to do marketing because they think it's this little thing. But don't forget, guys, you used to do marketing when there wasn't any social media, and that's called job boards. This is exactly the same thing. It's about how you market yourself.
I was hoping that you were, when you were talking about job ads, that you were going to give me a little nostalgic moment to talk about print advertising but you didn't. So I can't show my age again, as I always do on this podcast. So we'll have to move on.
Well, I remember opening up a newspaper and looking at an advertisement, and when I was younger, I always had to open up even a Yellow Pages or a newspaper. Do you remember the newspaper with the little printouts to say we're hiring, please call? That was it as well. So there was newspapers, there was job boards. There was no kind of social media back then when we did it, or especially.
But that's where the candidates were at the time, right? Because there was nothing else for them to do, so they would, you would put wherever the ad is in front of wherever the audience is in front of the ad in front of them. So, it's like you said, marketing has been around since forever. It's just the mediums that have been used are changing. So does that mean then that recruiters are transitioning from salespeople to marketeers?
No, because I think they've always been a marketer. They just don't know it. I just don't think they know it.
Yeah,
because they always go, I'm a recruiter, Rohit. I'm not a marketer, so don't really get it. And I'm like, well, you've been a marketer for how many years you've been doing recruitment, because you've been advertising your roles, yourself on the job boards.
Yeah.
I get you probably don't have time to find relevant content to create really nice graphical imagery, but don't tell me you don't know about marketing, because you've done it before.
Because in that respect, if you think about your sort of classic recruiter that will, work their network in terms of candidates, clients, referrals, that in itself is a referral scheme.
I mean, referrals are amazing way to get business, right? Whether you're a candidate, client, I mean, it's it's an absolute shoehorn into whether you're trying to get into a client or trying to get that decent candidates, 100%.
So it is, it's in that's almost in our nature to do that, right? So it's already there. But if we start thinking about social media, like, where should someone start with this? You just said, right, candidates are on Twitter, they're on LinkedIn.
Well, look, I always believe there are three key pillars that a recruiter needs to be doing, right? And this is really important to grow your organic followers, right? The three real key measures that you need to be doing. The problem is time, right? And if you're not using Paiger, then you want to be doing these three things, which is curating content, right? So let's dive into that. So curating content basically is finding something in your marketplace or news about something in your marketplace and you having an opinion about it. Because if someone has an opinion about sales and cold calling, I've got an opinion about that, and I'm going to vote on that poll, or I'm going to comment on it to say, well, actually, cold calling is not dead. Actually, you just need marketing behind you, and that's it. Your cold calls are going to be much more better. They're going to be much more positive when you do speak to somebody, because they're going to hit. They would have known about you because they've heard about you from marketing.
Yeah.
So curated content's one. Then there's your job adverts, right? So that's your service, and people should be pushing their job adverts out where their demographic sits. Now, what people should be doing is driving people back to their application page, rather than just putting, I'm looking for a .NET developer, please call me or email me. Nobody in their right minds are going to pick up their phones and scroll through their feed and go, oh, that looks like a good job, actually. I'm going to copy and paste that telephone number, and then they're going to call it. It doesn't happen. People want to be able to click on something, be able to apply for something, just like they would do buying something on Amazon or eBay. Quick, easy. So think about, when you are doing that second pillar, how do I get that candidate from LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter back to my ecosystem, which is my website? Because ultimately that's where you need to be people drawn in. And thirdly, it's creating content. So creating content like, about the business, about a promotion, doing that. If you can get those 3 steps right consistently over time, because we are LinkedIn marketing partners and we get their algorithms every quarter, so we understand what the do's and don'ts are. And one of the do's is to always be consistent. LinkedIn rewards you on being consistent on LinkedIn over time. One of the don'ts, I get another nugget here, is only use up to 5 hashtags. That's the optimal level. Use any more than 5 hashtags, then LinkedIn redeem you as being spam. So always think about the market that you're trying to go after, and think about the hashtags that you use, because those are the hashtags that are going to reach your 2nd and 3rd degree connections. Always think about that when you are creating content, and that's the 3rd pillar I was talking about, Dave. There's a couple of nuggets there for your listeners.
More than a couple. Fantastic. That's really useful. So so curating content I can get my head around. So you take in something that's a piece of news or something that's relevant. You put an opinion to it. That goes out to your network, and you can people know, they start to learn a little bit about you, and it gives them some information. And then does that actually then take that candidate or that client, how does that take them from reading something and go, oh, Rohit's posted that, that's interesting, to then that stage where they go, do you know, I'm looking to move, or I've got a role. Rohit did something about, let's say it's a sales role.
Well, it's being consistent, having those 3 key pillars, as going back to it, going, you know what, Rohit understands the industry, he gets it, and I've seen some of his roles. I'm going to have a look at it, and I might just give him a call, or I might actually apply for one of his jobs.
Yeah,
I've interacted with a few of his posts. I've liked it. I've commented on some of the views that Rohit has. I'm actually going to apply for it because I'm actually ready for a new change. And so he or she applies for a job, right?
And that's where it's consistent.
We're not a job board. Right? LinkedIn, social media is not a job board. You cannot, it's difficult to put a figure on it and go, I posted out a job, I got 7 candidates. And it's a branding exercise which is built over time. And the only way you're going to be able to track that is if you track that through Google Analytics, where you can see if people are actually driving traffic back to your website, whether you're earmarking these people and you're putting UTM codes against each piece of content. And now I'm really going technical, which a lot of recruiters aren't going to understand, but marketers are going to understand that.
Yeah. If anyone watching wants to know how to do that, then do speak to us, because we can do that. Come on. You had your little pitch. I'll have my little moment. So it's about consistency, right? And having the front of mind, so that as and when that person decides they want to speak to someone, they want to do something, up pops Rohit again. And it's like, actually, I am going to go on to him, because I do feel I also know a little bit about him. Okay, so that makes sense. The second one was your job ads, which we kind of talked loads about on the podcast, so I won't bore everyone to tears too much.
But I just want people to understand that is an opportunity for someone to create to increase their brand awareness, because they can create a right imagery which is to their own brand guidelines. So when they are posting out a job, it's not just a worded text. It's an opportunity to push out the hashtags that relate to that job, because they can reach out to their 2nd and 3rd degree connections. And it's an opportunity to push out the brand awareness about the actual brand colors. Like for example, if I told you, Dave, draw me the eBay sign or the Amazon sign, you probably know what to do, right? Smiley face, tick, that's the Amazon logo, right? Because we see it on TV a lot, and we see it all the time subconsciously, and we see the eBay sign subconsciously all the time.
I see it too much on my credit card bill. That's
exactly right. But and doing those job adverts with your branding, it's exactly the same process, but on social media.
Yeah.
to your viewers.
You're right. And I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. But just want to talk about creating the content. Right. So curating is one thing. Now, how on earth do you go about creating content for your regular recruitment business? Are you writing blogs? And what are you writing blogs about?
I think for me,
videos, what are you doing?
I think for me, it's more about value rather than pushing out your services, which you're already doing on the job adverts front. It's about pushing out value. Now, if you're struggling with candidates and we know candidates are about, they're working, right? But give some value to your candidates, right? Rather than just going, I've got a job. Hey, Dave, I've got a job. Push out some value, like things about how interview processes have changed in the past 5 years, how to deal with counter offers, because I bet you that happens probably every single day. How do you deal with it? Yeah. What's the right thing to do? Because I bet they know how to deal with it 5-10 years ago, but not in today's world. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with this is a good one. How do you deal with a mum trying to get back into workplace when she wants a part-time job and she's still got to pick up her kids?
It doesn't take actually, long, as you've just done. You've reeled off like 5 or 6 things. Yeah. And I suppose think about as a recruiter that's saying, I don't know what I'm going to talk about or what I would even do. But I suppose maybe the advice is, well, what are you saying to candidates on a day-to-day basis throughout those different stages of that candidate's journey to a new role? So, like you said, the phone call from the mum that comes in saying, hey, Rohit, I want to get back to work, but I don't know, Instantly, that consultant will give some advice of, what other people have done, what's happening, how employers are reacting to that sort of thing. So all you would need to do, I say all, but take what you would say to an individual candidate and put that out, as a piece of, a piece of content, and that's you've got it there. And until that advice changes, and like you said, a bit further on down the line, there's loads of first interview tips and things, but then the next thing, the counter offers and all of those things throughout that recruitment cycle, differences between first interview and second interview. What are you going to do? And that would probably be a good way to say to consultants or recruiters, just whatever you're saying to candidates, write it down, or video, or whatever you do. So there's a lot, isn't there? Because you just went without even thinking about
5 things. I literally just 5 things. Todd told me, like, literally in 2 seconds. I was like, yeah, just do that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I want to come back to the job ads.
Okay.
And not necessarily the job ad, but
I knew this was going to come up.
The branding, right? So a few episodes ago, we had Mitch Sullivan on, amazing podcast, really good guy, really enjoyed his book, and we talked about the brand, and he was, I think, and Mitch, if you're watching and I've got this completely wrong, then do let me know, but he was kind of going down the road that an agency, and the strength of an agency's brand isn't actually that strong. And candidates don't necessarily choose the agency based on their brand, but they would more so choose the personal brand of the consultant. So your ads are an opportunity to push your brand out, both personal and company, but which is more powerful, do you think?
Look, I agree with Mitch slightly there. People buy off people, and people, like candidates, are going to follow the recruiter, not necessarily the company. So it's the best interest for the director or the owner of that business to utilize the recruiters' feeds and also the company pages on, likes of LinkedIn, for example. And I recall a few years ago, someone went, yeah, but Rohit, what if they leave? Yeah, but you've got them now. You've got that access to his or hers network. Utilize it now and treat them right and they'll stay.
Yeah.
It's just human nature, right? But I agree with Mitch. I do agree with Mitch. And I this is in any sales environment. People buy off people.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, coming back to those 3 key pillars from a recruiter's perspective, they should do, because then when you're pushing that out on LinkedIn, not only are you giving out your service, you're giving out your opinion. So that's you personally, of your opinion, but also you as a person, because you're creating that content as well, right?
And this is no different from, the book of contacts that any recruiter would have anyway. Right?
Correct.
They've met people over the years. They know people, and they can pick up the phone and speak to this person, this person, this person. It's no different from creating a personal brand on social media and a following, that you have that network, and we're back to networking again.
Yeah.
Right. And referrals.
It's referrals. It's pushing out that boundary, because there are so many connections that you probably don't have that are in your 2nd and 3rd degree connections. And the goal is, how do we push out our name and our brand to those 2nd and 3rd degree connections? That's through referrals. That's through the hashtags that you use. That's through the advice that you give out. All those key measures are really important. But I probably know that your recruiters are thinking, and your owners are thinking, but Rohit, I don't have time for it. Come and chat to me. I have to do it again. Sorry.
You have to do it again. No, this is that's perfect. We'll just cut it out later. It's fine. So we're flying through. I always ask people to try and predict what's going to happen in the future. Every podcast I do, it seems the economy has changed since the last time I did one. I don't even know what political party we're going to have in power or leader by the time I do my next podcast.
Yeah.
But, we've got, there are some uncertain times ahead.
I don't know what's going to happen. Sorry to cut you short. I don't know.
No, you're the first person that said. No. I mean, it's all. There's no gun to your head if you get it wrong. So you can make any wild prediction.
I don't know what's going to go on with the whole government thing. I think that's a fucking. Sorry, am I allowed to say? Sorry.
You just did, so that's fine.
Sorry. You can cut it out. It's an absolute embarrassment. It's a debacle, right? And I don't know what is going on in that corner over there, right? I'm not sure.
Stay away.
I've got to stop listening to LBC every day. I've got to stop it. But what I do know is that COVID, Brexit, the mix of the two, have ultimately created this position we're in at the moment, where I don't think the jobs out there are going to slow down. I think we're still going to have a problem with loads of jobs, no candidates in any sector that personally I speak to as well. Loads of jobs, no candidates, bro. What am I going to do? And I talk to them because they are struggling in any sector that I speak to. So God knows what's going on the government side. I'm not sure. They got their own family issues. Just stay away. But yeah, with this recruitment thing over here, with COVID and Brexit, you can't just pinpoint it to one thing, and I'm not going to just blame it on Brexit because people went home. But there are so many different factors that why this has happened, and then you can't pinpoint as to why it's happened. But I strongly believe that we still, and I think it's a good thing, especially for recruiters, that there's going to be lots of jobs and no candidates, because then the true headhunters are going to have their value worth cut out, right?
Yeah, it's changed the market a little bit, hasn't it, in terms of having to, the value of the good recruiter is increased 200-300% to end clients, that is, in terms of being able to source and find the candidates that they're looking for, because they're so rare in whatever sector. So well, that's good. I'll hold you to that future as well, even though I said I wouldn't. Secretly I am holding everyone to it. So we'll come back to you and showcase that, and how brilliant you were when you got it absolutely spot on. We're done. We're done. Yes. It flies through. It always does. And so thank you, Rohit. It was really, really good. I hope that everyone found that there was piles of great information in there.
I hope so.
Some things I've learned.
I always push out value, right? Like, that's the one thing I want to do. Like, when I come to these webinars and podcasts, it's not just about Paiger, it's about what kind of value I can give out. And I believe that goes out further than what did Paiger do in selling Paiger down people's throats. It just doesn't work. I believe in pushing out value. This
is why you're the industry's favorite person.
Oh, stop it. I'm all right.
Brilliant. Well, thank you to everyone who has been listening and watching. Hopefully you found it useful. And please do share, like, comment, let us know what you think, and come back again soon. I'm sure we will have more wonderful, wonderful podcasts very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.